In 2005, a radiant young couple drove away from their wedding, never to be seen again until a grainy satellite image from a Louisiana swamp sparked a chilling question. What secret had been buried for 12 years? Hey, don't forget to like, please. Subscribe for more shocking crime stories and hit the bell icon. The darkest truth are yet to come. The humid air clung to Evelyn Harper's skin as she stood in the crowded parking lot of a Baton Rouge Walmart, her cart half filled with groceries. She barely noticed. It was June 2017, and at 58, Evelyn had mastered the art of moving through life on autopilot. Her hands trembled slightly as she sorted through apples, her mind elsewhere, always elsewhere, stuck on that humid July day in 2005 when her daughter, Amara, and her new husband, Caleb, vanished without a trace. The sharp trill of her cell phone, a recent upgrade she still fumbled with, snapped her back to reality. She dug it out of her purse, nearly knocking over a display of avocados. Hello? Her voice was cautious, braced for another telemarketer. Mrs. Harper, this is Detective Lauren Thibodeau, Baton Rouge PD. The woman's voice was calm but urgent, slicing through the morning's haze. Where are you right now? Evelyn's breath caught. Walmart, on College Drive. Wide. What's this about? Her heart thudded, a familiar ache flaring. 12 years of dead-end leads had taught her to temper hope, but something in the detective's tone tightened her grip on the phone. We need you to come to the Atchafalaya Basin, near the visitor center off I-10. We've found something related to Amara and Caleb. Can you get here within the hour? The words landed like a punch. Evelyn's knees buckled, and she steadied herself against the cart. Found what? Please, tell me. We've recovered a vehicle, a silver Toyota Camry. We need you for identification. The Warrens have been notified as well. Can you make it? Evelyn's voice broke. The Camry, their wedding gift. Her mind flashed to Caleb's father, Victor Warren, presenting the keys to the couple with a smug grin, cameras flashing for his family's perfect image. I'll be there in 30 minutes. She abandoned her cart in the aisle, ignoring the curious stares of other shoppers, and hurried to her aging Ford Focus. The drive to the Atchafalaya Basin felt like a lifetime compressed into minutes. Louisiana's sprawling wetlands stretched endlessly on either side of I-10, cypress trees draped in Spanish moss like silent sentinels. Memories flooded her. Amara's laughter at the wedding, her white dress glowing under the July sun, Caleb's arm around her as they waved from the Camry, driving off to start their life together. The police had called it a runaway case due young lovers escaping small-town expectations. Evelyn never bought it. Amara wouldn't leave her. Not after the years they'd spent rebuilding their bond after Evelyn's divorce. Not after the late-night talks about dreams and promises. But 12 years of silence had chipped away at her resolve, leaving a fragile acceptance that maybe, just maybe, Amara had chosen a new life. That fragile piece shattered as she pulled into the Atchafalaya Basin Visitor Center. Police cruisers lined the lot, their lights casting red and blue streaks across the morning haze. Park rangers directed traffic, and yellow tape cordoned off a section near a tow truck. At its center sat the silver Camry, its once shiny surface caked in mud and algae, water dripping from its frame like tears. Evelyn parked haphazardly, her legs unsteady as she stepped out. The air smelled of swamp and diesel, and the crowd, rangers, officers, curious tourists buzzed with controlled chaos. Mrs. Harper, a woman in her late 30s, approached, her badge glinting. Detective Thibodeau's sharp eyes softened with empathy. I'm Lauren. Thank you for coming so quickly. Evelyn's gaze locked on the Camry. That's their car, she whispered, recognizing the custom license plate MCA LO5 Victor had insisted on. How did you find it? Let me introduce you to someone who can explain. The detective gestured to a group of college students in LSU shirts, their faces a mix of excitement and unease. A young woman with braided hair stepped forward, clutching a laptop. Mrs. Harper, Ania Carter, environmental science major. We were analyzing satellite imagery for a project on wetland erosion in the Atchafalaya Basin. Nia opened her laptop, revealing a grainy image time-stamped July 2005. We were studying land shifts when we spotted this anomaly, a metallic glint in the swamp, partially submerged. When we enhanced the image, it looked like a car. Our professor remembered your daughter's case. It was huge news back then. We calculated the coordinates and called the police. Detective Thibodeau nodded. The area's remote, deep enough for a vehicle to sink and stay hidden. The water's murky, and currents shift debris, so it went undetected until now. Our dive team used sonar to locate it, and a helicopter lifted it out this morning. Evelyn's chest tightened as she stared at the car, its windows opaque with sediment. She could still see Amara behind the wheel, singing off-key to the radio, Caleb laughing beside her. Was there anything inside? The detective's expression grew, somber. No remains, no blood, no signs of a struggle. The water damage was extensive, but we recovered one item. She signaled an officer, who brought over an evidence bag containing a tarnished silver bracelet. Evelyn's breath hitched. It was Amara's, engraved with her initials, a high school graduation gift from Evelyn. Before she could process it, a black SUV roared into the lot. Victor Warren stepped out, his tailored suit out of place in the swamp's grit. His wife, Celeste, followed, her face a mask of practiced calm, and their daughter, Leela, trailed behind, her eyes darting nervously. Victor's presence reignited Evelyn's old anger. He'd always looked down on Amara, calling her a small-town nobody unfit for his heir. At the police station in 2005, he'd accused Amara of dragging Caleb into trouble, his wealth and influence shielding his venom. "Detective," Victor said, striding over. "What's the meaning of this? You drag us out here for a car." His eyes flicked to Evelyn, narrowing, and her. "Of all people, it's their Camry, Victor." Evelyn snapped, her voice shaking. "You gave it to them. Don't act like you don't know." Victor's jaw tightened, but he addressed the detective. "Yes, it's the car I gifted Caleb. The plate confirms it, but this proves nothing. They probably abandoned it." "No remains were found," Detective Thibodeau said carefully. "But this changes the case. It's not just a missing persons investigation anymore, it's potentially criminal." "Criminal?" Celeste's voice cracked, her composure slipping. "What are you implying? Someone sank this car in a remote swamp." The detective replied. "That suggests intent to hide evidence. Whoever did it knew the basin's deepest channels." Victor's face reddened. "This is absurd. You're wasting time digging up old theories instead of searching for my son." Evelyn's control snapped. "You've always blamed Amara. You said she ruined Caleb, but she loved him. She'd never leave me without a word." Victor rounded on her. "Your daughter was trouble from the start. Caleb had a future Harvard, the family business, until she latched onto him. Maybe she had enemies, old boyfriends, people from her world." "Enough." Detective Thibodeau stepped between them. "This isn't helping. Mrs. Harper, Mr. Warren, we'll need statements from both of you at the station. For now, please calm down." Evelyn's hands shook as she returned to her car, the bracelet's weight in her mind heavier than the evidence. Bag. She drove home, the Atchafalaya's green expanse blurring past. Her small Baton Rouge bungalow felt suffocatingly quiet as she stepped inside. Unable to sit still, she wandered to Amara's old room, untouched since 2005. Dust coated the vanity, where Amara's perfume bottles sat frozen in time. A faded LSU sweatshirt hung over a chair, and a dog-eared novel lay on the bed. Evelyn sank onto the mattress, clutching the sweatshirt, its scent long gone. She'd raised Amara alone, working double shifts as a nurse to keep them afloat. Amara had been her anchor, bright, kind, determined to rise above their circumstances. Caleb, with his charm and wealth, had swept her off her feet. But Evelyn had worried his family's disdain would poison their love. As she began cleaning the room, preparing for potential police requests, she found items that didn't belong to Amara. A man's watch, a leather wallet, a cane with a monogrammed C. Caleb's things. Her jaw tightened. She'd known he stayed over sometimes, despite her rules about waiting until marriage. Young love had its own gravity, and Caleb's promises had dazzled Amara. Evelyn packed his items into a box, labeling it carefully, then drove to the Warrens' sprawling estate in the Garden District. Victor's mansion loomed behind iron gates, its manicured lawns a stark contrast to Evelyn's modest neighborhood. She rang the bell, box in hand, expecting a maid. Instead, Leela answered, her eyes red-rimmed. "Mrs. Harper, what are you doing here?" "I found Caleb's things in Amara's room," Evelyn said, holding out the box. "I thought you'd want them." Leela hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come in. Mom and I were going through Caleb's stuff too. There's something you should see." Against her better judgment, Evelyn followed. The Warren home was a museum of wealth: marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art worth more than her house. Leela led her to Caleb's old room, where Celeste knelt beside a box, her usual poise fraying. "Evelyn," she said softly, "thank you for bringing these." Evelyn set the box down, noticing another filled with Amara's belongings: a scarf, a locket, a journal. "You kept her things. We couldn't throw them out," Celeste said. It felt wrong. Leela picked up a small velvet box from Caleb's desk. This is what I wanted to show you. Inside was a delicate gold necklace, clearly expensive, with a card tucked inside. In neat handwriting, it read, "For Amara. From Julian." Evelyn frowned. Julian? Amara never mentioned anyone by that name. Neither did Caleb, Leela said, her voice uneasy. We found it hidden in his closet. Why would he have it? The room grew heavy with unspoken questions. Was Julian a friend, a rival? Had Caleb intercepted the gift? This needs to go to the police. Evelyn said firmly. It could be a lead. I agree, Celeste said, her voice trembling. But Victor, he won't like this. I'll take it to the station, Leela offered. I'll go with you. Mrs. Harper, as they prepared to leave, the front door slammed. Victor's voice boomed through the foyer. Leela, what's she doing here? Evelyn's stomach knotted. Leela clutched the velvet box, stepping forward. Dad, we found something in Caleb's room. It's important. Victor's eyes narrowed as he saw the box. What's that? Some trinket you're blowing out of proportion. It's a necklace for Amara. From someone named Julian, Leela said, her voice steady. We're taking it to the police. Victor's face darkened. You're not taking anything anywhere until I see it. He snatched the box, his expression shifting as he read the card. Julian? This is nonsense. Probably some cheap gift from one of her low-life friends. Stop it, Victor, Evelyn snapped. You've vilified my daughter for years. This could mean something. Enough, Victor roared, his phone buzzing in his pocket. He silenced it, but not before Evelyn glimpsed the screen. A number. No name. You're not dragging my family's name through the mud over this. Leela stood her ground. Dad, we're going to the station. You can't stop us. Victor's phone buzzed again. He ignored it, his jaw tight. Fine, but I'm coming with you. This ends now. At the station, Detective Thibodeau was out, but an officer named Ruiz took the necklace into evidence. We'll check for prints and run the name Julian through our database, he said, examining the card. The boutique it's from Maison Lux in New Orleans might have records. Victor's phone rang again as they filled out forms. He stepped away, his voice low but sharp. Evelyn caught fragments. Handle it, not now. When he returned, his agitation was palpable. Mr. Warren, do you need to take that call? Officer Ruiz asked. It's business, Victor snapped, pocketing the phone. Let's get this over with. As they left the station, Victor's phone buzzed yet again. Lila's patience broke. Dad, just answer it. What's so urgent? It's nothing, Victor said. But his hands fumbled, and a cane slipped from his pocket, hitting the pavement with a clink. Evelyn's eyes locked on it, a small tag with the letters Jewel in black marker. Her pulse spiked. Before she could speak, Victor snatched it up, his face pale. Just office keys, he muttered, striding to his SUV. Lila's eyes met Evelyn's, wide with suspicion. Mrs. Harper, what was that? I don't know, Evelyn lied, her mind racing. But I'm going to find out. As Victor sped off, Evelyn made a decision. She couldn't let this go. The cane, the name Julian. Victor's evasiveness was too much to ignore. She turned to Leela. I'm following him. Something's not right. Be careful, Leela whispered. I'll stay with Mom and call you if anything happens. Evelyn nodded, climbing into her Focus. Victor's SUV was already a speck on the horizon, heading west toward the Atchafalaya Basin. Her hands shook as she followed, keeping her distance. The swamp loomed ahead, its secrets pulling her deeper into the unknown. Evelyn Harper's Ford Focus rattled along I-10, her eyes fixed on the taillights of Victor Warren's black SUV. As it sliced through the Louisiana dusk, the Atchafalaya Basin loomed ahead, its cypress groves and murky waters swallowing the last of the June 2017 sunlight. Her hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. As she replayed the cane's tag Juln, Victor's panicked grab for it. Why was he heading back to the swamp? Who was Julian? And what did he know about Amara and Caleb? Evelyn's heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. 12 years of unanswered questions had led her here, tailing a man she despised since the day her daughter vanished. She kept 2 cars between them, blending with the sparse evening traffic, praying she wouldn't lose him in the growing darkness. Victor's SUV veered onto the exit for the Atchafalaya Basin Visitor Center, the same place where the silver Camry had been pulled from the swamp that morning. Evelyn's stomach churned. Was he returning to the crime scene? She followed at a distance, her headlights off to avoid detection, relying on the fading twilight. The parking lot was nearly empty, save for a few Ranger vehicles and a lone RV. Victor parked near a trailhead, and Evelyn pulled behind a maintenance shed, her car hidden in the shadows. She watched as Victor stepped out, joined by a man she hadn't noticed before, a weary figure in a dark jacket, emerging from the passenger side. The man glanced around, his movements jittery, before following Victor onto a marked trail. Evelyn waited a beat, her breath shallow. She grabbed her phone, checking for a signal to bars, barely enough. She slipped it into her pocket, along with a small flashlight from her glove box, and stepped out, the swamp's humid air wrapping around her like a shroud. The trail was busy during the day, but now, at dusk, it was deserted, the only sounds, the hum of cicadas and the occasional splash of something moving in the water. She held the park brochure from that morning, pretending to be a lost hiker if anyone spotted her. The trail wound through cypress knees and sawgrass, the ground soft, underfoot. Victor and the stranger stayed just in sight, their silhouettes flickering through the trees. After 20 minutes, they veered off onto an unmarked path, the terrain growing rougher muddy patches and tangled roots. Evelyn's pulse raced, following them now meant abandoning the safety of the main trail. But she'd come too far to turn back. She crept forward, using clumps of sawgrass for cover, her sneakers sinking into the damp earth. Mosquitoes swarmed, and she swatted them away, her flashlight beam low to avoid detection. The path climbed slightly, the ground turning to limestone, ridges dotted with pine trees. Ahead, she heard voices, low and urgent. She crouched behind a boulder, her heart hammering as she peered through the undergrowth. Victor stood in a small clearing, the stranger beside him, gesturing at a patch of disturbed soil beneath a cluster of palmettos. "Show me exactly where," Victor said, his voice sharp, carrying through the still air. "If the police start digging, I need to know what they'll find." Evelyn's blood froze. She pressed herself lower, barely breathing, as the stranger Julian, she assumed, knelt by the soil. "Right here," he said, his voice unsteady. "Amra's body, 6 feet down, like you told me. We used the shovels from your truck. The limestone was a nightmare, but we made it work." The words hit Evelyn like a physical blow. Her daughter, buried here, in this desolate swamp. For 12 years, she bit her fist to stifle a sob, tears burning her eyes. Julian's casual tone, saying Amra's name like it meant nothing, twisted the knife deeper. "Good," Victor said, his voice cold, calculating. "No one's finding this spot unless they know where to look. It's too remote. Now, about you." He stepped closer, his shadow looming over Julian. "The necklace was a mistake. Using your name. Sloppy. You told me to make it convincing." Julian protested, his voice rising. "You said get close to her. Make Caleb jealous. Break them up. The necklace was your idea, something expensive to stir trouble. And you thought signing it was smart?" Victor snapped. "Caleb kept it, you idiot. Now it's with the police, and they're asking questions." Evelyn's mind reeled. Victor had orchestrated this, hired Julian to sabotage Amara and Caleb's relationship. But why? Her hands shook as she fumbled for her phone, the signal flickering. She needed to call Detective Thibodeau, but she couldn't risk the noise. She stayed low, listening. "You've got 2 options," Victor continued. "Leave Louisiana tonight, disappear, no contact, no money, or go to the police. Confess you killed them, say you were Amara's ex, obsessed, jealous. You sank the car, buried the bodies, take the fall, and I'll wire $250, zero to an offshore account for your family." Julian's laugh was bitter. "Prison. For life, for your mess. You promised me protection. I promised you money if you followed orders." Victor said, "You and your uncle messed this up. I've got lawyers who'll make sure you take the heat." "Not me, Uncle." Evelyn's breath caught. Was Julian related to someone else involved? Her mind flashed to Ray's system. Ray, the driver from part 1, could he be Julian's uncle? The pieces were starting to fit. "Let's go," Victor said, turning back toward the trail. "We're done here." Evelyn waited, her heart pounding, until their footsteps faded. She dialed Detective Thibodeau, her fingers trembling. The call connected, static crackling. "Detective, it's Evelyn Harper," she whispered, her voice urgent. "I'm in the Atchafalaya Basin, Long Pine Key Trail, off the main path. I followed Victor Warren. He's with a man named Julian. I heard them. Victor paid Julian to bury Amra's body. He's trying to frame him for both murders." "Mrs. Harper, stay where you are," Thibodeau said, her voice sharp through the static. "That's dangerous. Describe your exact location." Evelyn whispered. "Landmarks: the limestone ridge, the palmetto cluster, the unmarked path. There, heading back to the parking lot. Victor's covering it up." "We're on our way," Thibodeau said. "Stay hidden. Do not engage." The line went dead. Evelyn crept back toward the main trail, her legs shaking with adrenaline and grief. The image of Amra's grave burned in her mind, but she forced herself to move, blending with the shadows of the cypress trees. The parking lot came into view, now a chaotic scene of flashing police lights and rangers directing stragglers away. Victor's SUV was surrounded by officers, and Julian was in handcuffs, slumped against a cruiser. Victor stood nearby, arguing with Detective Thibodeau, his face red with fury. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. He's lying. Detective, I heard everything. Victor hired Julian to kill Amara, to keep her away from Caleb. He's paying him to take the fall. Victor's eyes locked onto her, his expression venomous. This woman's obsessed. She's been harassing my family for years, spinning lies. I saw Ray, your driver, with Julian at your house, Evelyn said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. Ray took a necklace from him, said the boss didn't want it seen. It had JUL on it. Then I followed them here, and Victor told Julian to show him where Amara was buried. Detective Thibodeau's gaze sharpened. Ray Delacroix, yes, Evelyn said. Victor's driver. He's involved. Victor's composure cracked. She's delusional. Ray's just an employee. I don't know this Julian person. He gestured at Julian, who looked panicked, sweat dripping down his face. Sir, Thibodeau said to Julian, what's your full name? Julian hesitated, glancing at Victor. Julian Delacroix, he muttered. Delacroix. Thibodeau's eyes narrowed. Related to Ray, my uncle, Julian admitted, his voice low. He helped. Evelyn's heart sank. Ray, the kind-eyed driver, had betrayed her daughter. She clutched the brochure, her nails digging into her palms. Thibodeau turned to Victor. Mr. Warren, you claimed not to know Julian. Care to explain the cocaine with his name? Victor's lips tightened. It's a coincidence. Office keys. Really? Thibodeau held up the cocaine from Victor's pocket, seized during a pat-down. The tag read Julian in full. This looks personal. Victor said nothing, his face pale. Celeste, who had just arrived with Leela, gasped, clutching her daughter's arm. Victor, what's going on, Mom? It's bad, Leela whispered, her eyes wide. They found something in Caleb's room, a necklace from Julian to Amara. Dad's hiding something. Enough, Victor shouted, his phone buzzing again. He ignored it, but Thibodeau grabbed it, glancing at the screen. A number, no name, calling repeatedly. Who's this? Thibodeau asked. Business, Victor snapped, but his hands shook. Thibodeau nodded to an officer. Take Mr. Warren and Mr. Delacroix into custody. Mrs. Harper, we need you at the station for a statement. As Julian was led away, he yelled, Victor, you owe me that money. We had a deal. Victor's face twisted with rage. Not a dime. You incompetent fool. Evelyn's legs buckled, but she stayed upright, fueled by fury and grief. At the station, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as she sat in a small interview room, a styrofoam cup of water untouched before her. Detective Thibodeau sat across from her, her notebook open. Mrs. Harper, I'm so sorry, she began, her voice soft. Tell me everything. Evelyn recounted the day, the Camry, the bracelet, the necklace, Victor's cocaine, the conversation in the swamp. Her voice broke as she described Julian's confession, Victor's cold orders. When she finished, tears streamed down her face. Amara's gone. She's been here all along, and I didn't know. Thibodeau's eyes softened. Julian talked. In the car, he admitted Victor hired him and Ray in 2005 to break up Amara and Caleb. Victor saw Amara as a threat to his empire, her lack of status, her independence. He wanted Caleb with someone worthy of Warren Industries. Evelyn's fists clenched. She was worthy. She loved him. I know, Thibodeau said. Julian said he tried flirting with Amara, sending gifts like the necklace to make Caleb jealous. But they eloped, and Victor escalated. He paid Ray and Julian to kill Amara during their honeymoon at a cabin in Grand Isle. It was supposed to look like a robbery. Evelyn's breath hitched. But Caleb, he came back early, Thibodeau said, her voice heavy. Found Ray hurting Amara after she was gone. Caleb attacked them, so they killed him too. Victor covered it up, used his trucks to move the bodies, sank the car in the swamp, cleaned the cabin. No cameras, no evidence. He played the grieving father. Even had Caleb's remains cremated under Julian's name to hide them. Evelyn sobbed, the truth slicing through her. Ray assaulted her. Thibodeau nodded grimly. Julian confessed to that, too. Ray's obsession went beyond the plan. Victor kept them on payroll to ensure their silence. But the necklace and cocaine unraveled it. A knock interrupted them. An officer leaned in. Detective, the team found remains at the Long Pine Key site. Amherst, confirmed by dental records. Caleb's ashes were in an urn at the Warren family crypt, labeled as Julian Delacroix. Evelyn's world tilted. She clutched the table, steadying herself. What happens now? Victor, Ray, and Julian are being charged, Thibodeau said. Murder, conspiracy, evidence tampering. We're digging into Victor's finances for proof of the payments. They're not walking away. Evelyn nodded, numb. Outside, she saw Celeste and Leela in the waiting room, their faces etched with shock. Celeste approached, her eyes glistening. Evelyn, I had no idea. I'm so sorry for Amara, for Caleb, for everything Victor did. We're all victims, Evelyn said, her voice hoarse. You didn't know. Leela hugged her, tears falling. Caleb loved her so much. Daddy, he destroyed them. Detective Thibodeau appeared. Mrs. Harper, we'll need you to identify Amara's remains formally. We'll arrange a time. Evelyn nodded, the weight of 12 years lifting, replaced by a raw, aching grief. She could bury her daughter now, lay flowers on her grave, mourn properly. Amara hadn't abandoned her, she'd been stolen. Her love for Caleb deemed unworthy, by a man obsessed with control. But love, Evelyn knew, was stronger than Victor's empire. Amara and Caleb had died for it, their bond unbroken even in death. As she drove home, the Baton Rouge skyline glowing under the stars, Evelyn felt a flicker of peace. The swamp had given up its secrets, and the truth, though devastating, set her free to grieve, to heal, to remember her daughter's light. Well, have you ever heard of a case like this? Comment your thoughts. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.